Hello, everybody, and welcome to tonight's episode of Late Night Q&A with ZodWriter. You all know who I am, and by now you should all know who this is. Ladies and gentlemen, I have the pleasure of welcoming Mads MamaBear to the panel today. Hello,
Hey,
Mads. How are you?
hey Zod. I'm doing great.
I'm just super excited about tonight. There's a lot of stuff that I wanted to talk to you about and see what you thought about a lot of different stuff. We've got a ton of people here in the in the chat, and this is exciting. We got Charles Austin in the chat here, who was
Hi, Charles.
on here, for a couple weeks. That was awesome. Let's see, we got guitar in here. Everybody's saying hello to everybody. Bat Dan with the hashtags. I guess we can start with that. MamaBear, what's your opinion of how everything is going with the hashtags? How do you feel about the sell ZSJL to Netflix, sell SnyderVerse to Netflix?
Honestly, I am endlessly grateful for Sky creating those hashtags. Leon too, don't get me wrong. Because that came at such a dark moment for everyone. Like, even myself, I was, as soon as they made that announcement with Henry Cavill, I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna have to go back to being a closet DC fan again. Because I always have been, always will be. DC was my first love. I look really tilted. That's better. But then Sky came out with this fantastic idea, and I even have a video on it where I discuss my thoughts and connect and make the analogy to Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, because he originally planned on ending the Sherlock series at the Reichenbach Falls. But there was a huge demand among the fans, a huge writing campaign, because they needed more stories. And he came out with, I think it was 15 more stories after that, one of which is arguably the most well-known and fan favorite, Hounds of the Baskervilles. And without that fan campaign, we wouldn't have gotten these fantastic stories, this continued series. And it's the same with Snyder. We saw such great potential with, his version of the Justice League. And to leave it off where it is just seems so criminal. And I've seen people so far removed from our, small band of rebels that have used the hashtag. So this is itself, it's its own shining ray of hope to people who need it.
Yes, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I feel like it's almost like I had a conversation with somebody earlier in the week about this, and one of the things where it just feels like, with the success of Zack Snyder's Justice League, the fight should have been over. That should have shown the fan demand. That should have shown that we want more. We support this. This is huge, because we've all been rallying behind Zack and trying to make his material successful. And so if it was just about money and it was just about doing what was going to make people happy, you would think that we would have gotten everything we wanted after that. There shouldn't have been any need for any additional hashtags or any additional fighting. But it's obviously personal with these executives that we're dealing with this particular company, with Warner Brothers. Because I don't know how you feel, but I'm at the point where it's like, if it were any other company, and this is evidenced to me by the fact that it was the head of AT&T himself who came down and told Warner Media at the time, release the Snyder Cut. It was him. It came down from such a high up place that the people at Warner Media had no choice but to capitulate and to do it, because they didn't want to do it, but they were just, they were put in a situation where it was like, you're being told from, the boss of bosses at the time, that this is what you need to do. So you have to put it out regardless of what your personal feelings are. And that's why it's like this feels so personal, because there's no justification for just completely blowing off an entire fan base when the demand is completely there. I mean,
In man, I had a thought. I think I lost it for a second there. It'll come back.
yeah, that happens. That happens to me sometimes too.
I know.
I totally understand. And you get this good flow kind of a thought in your head, and then it just like evaporates. And
Oh, I know.
okay, $5 super chat from A Curly Ray. Thank you, A Curly Ray. Great to see you in the chat again. Great to see all these wonderful people in the chat. It's always nice to see support for fellow members of our group. I feel like we're all one big happy family. It's like you see all of us in the same, in most of the same chats, at most of the same shows. It's all very cohesive. Skywalker is a genius for creating the sell hashtags. Oh, I couldn't agree more. I think that's 100% the truth. It was the best way to keep the message going, and I feel that it's been successful because it's continued again to rally everybody and to get everybody hyped up, and with all these trending events and various things that have been going on that we've been doing to try and keep things moving.
Yeah. No, the thought actually did just come back to me, because it's funny that this whole campaign has almost been in pure Zack Snyder fashion, where it's like 300 band of rebels against a huge corporation, something very similar to Leonidas versus Xerxes' army.
Yep.
It feels so parallel to that. It's kind of funny, but we're not gonna back down on this one, because this is something. It's the right thing. This should be seen.
Yeah, and the 300, parallel is perfect, and it almost feels to me like James Gunn is Xerxes. They put him in a position because he is so far removed from the guy or gal that should be in that position. Mm-hmm. You have so many people out there that are better qualified to run that studio, that to put him, that's another reason why I feel that it's personal, because they literally got the worst, most unqualified person they could have to be in that spot, and said, okay, yeah, you take over DC. It's so ridiculous. I mean, there's even a few, like, I don't know, there's some little, kind of parallels you can make between Xerxes and James Gunn on many levels. Right down to the creepy, weird, like, celebrations and things that he.
I was just thinking that when they go into his encampment, his tent, and you see all of that weird. We'll just go party.
Yeah,
he is known for weird parties.
Yeah, we'll just say party. We're not trying to get all in depth and specific here, but that's, yeah. I mean, and there's so many things about that guy that just comes off as, I mean, it's all like lies and broken promises and misdirection, just like Xerxes, right? Yeah. He comes off at the beginning as just this guy that just that is just oozing with, I think the line is, I am kind, and he just wants to do everything to please everybody, right? But the whole thing is all motivated by just utter greed and ego and control and manipulation and lies. And that's exactly what James Gunn has done. He knows that he cannot outdo Zack Snyder in any way. He cannot outdo. I was telling Bat Dan this the other day, that if you put any other person in charge of DC, that as a fan base we could have had some hope, because but the person, you put the guy with the absolute worst reputation, the absolute worst of every possible aspect. It's because it's not just about being a Zack Snyder fan. It's about being a DC fan. It's about wanting that brand to be successful. And you know, James Gunn's not interested in making it successful. He's just interested in molding it in his image. And that's the worst thing for the property of all time. Because you, as a creator, you don't come in and mold somebody else's work into something that you think it should look like with your brand of humor or whatever. You try to make it, you try to be respectful to it, and then add your own little, you know, things to it later. But that's not what he's doing. He's literally molding it into his version of, like, and whatever that is. And all we can do is base it on, you know, his track record, on his previous films, his previous works. And nothing about what he's doing tells me personally that he is the guy for Superman or really any other major DC property. I mean, how do you feel with regards to that?
I mean, we've already seen him kind of doing this, because when he did his version of Suicide Squad, he was taking a pre-existing IP or pre-existing image. He took David Ayer's and twisted it into his own thing, and down even to changing Harley Quinn's hair color.
Yeah.
And we saw, we'll just say how successful that went, and the jokes and stuff that went into that. That beach full of was definitely unneeded. There was, and he took one of DC's biggest, you know, villains that is actually somebody that should be scary, and they turned it into a joke. Like, they destroyed Starro, they destroyed the Thinker. And to have an actor of that quality being the Thinker, I love him. I love that actor. He's one of my favorite doctors. But they ruined it. And you killed off one of the most loved members from the original Suicide Squad movies, the one that was the heart of the whole squad. You killed him off.
Yep.
That's not honoring the original, you know, the original image. And that leaves me with a lot of hesitation for his DC going forward.
Right. He just takes everything and basically bastardizes it into whatever twisted, you know, vision he has for it. And I mean, if that makes him a good visionary director, according to some, I guess I've lost the plot, because I don't feel that way at all. And I don't think he is respectful. I think he's going to, as long as he's allowed to stay in charge, he's going to run everything into the ground. And what I'm afraid of, Mama Bear, is that it's going to get to a point where we know that this Superman movie is not going to be successful, the one that he's doing. It's not. It's going to fail. But it's not going to matter, because, again, it's personal for this studio. So unless this studio is completely, you know, folded into another company and bought out from the ground up, I don't think anything is going to change. I think they're just going to be a complete cycle of, you know, incompetency, and you know, James Gunn's going to be the DC guy for the foreseeable future, and he's just going to keep making it worse and worse. And that's what I'm afraid of. I'm more afraid of for what's going on with DC as a brand now, more so than anything else, because I understand that if and when we do get more Snyder, it's going to be in spite of all this that's going on. So I'm not concerned for us, because we have the Cell movement. I'm concerned for DC as a brand, because I feel like as a brand, that all that's doing is adding more negativity to the brand, when we don't need it. And like you said, Peacemaker was a perfect example of what he is capable of. Peacemaker and his version of the Suicide Squad those were like his audition tapes for what his DC is going to be like. And all he's going to do is make everything like those properties. So
And looking at the stuff that came after Charles, just he's so on point. But looking at the stuff that even came after, what was he was using as notes for suggestions for the various movies, like The Flash, like whatever. Those scenes are painfully obvious because majority of filmmakers aren't going to put like Flash's naked booty in the thing or his tooth falling out. That's not his style. That's not that
That's the
style.
equivalent of what that's like the same equivalent of what Josh Whedon was doing
Exactly.
when he had the Flash fall on Wonder Woman's chest.
Mm-hmm.
It was completely unnecessary. It was just thrown in there as a, as just a dumb Joss Whedon, sadistic humor reference where he just, and I noticed in like in the theatrical version of Justice League, you see a lot of shots, that are just extra. Let's just say that, like, there's a lot of lingering shots of Gal Gadot's backside.
Mm-hmm.
He stays on there just a little bit longer than he has to make it uncomfortable. It's just the guy, but James Gunn is the same type of person. He has like this sick, twisted, sadistic sense of humor. It's almost like it's that club, that club of weirdos that has those parties that stick together, and it's never changed. They just traded one clown table for the table behind that clown table.
Yes.
It's all part there, but they're all part of the same club. That's the whole point. It's just
and for them to hand the big boy seat to somebody that cost them $100 million, there's a lot of questions I have behind that. I mean, normally you cost a studio that much money, they are going to send you packing till you get back in your little white van and go. But for the big boy seat, like, does he have dirt on them or something? Or
that's what I feel like. I feel like he's got maybe he's got like a hard drive full of
you're reading my mind.
Surveillance footage of
Certain island
of some of that, or like Puff Daddy type stuff where it's clear what they're doing, and if that comes out, it's I don't know. I keep wondering about all that though. I'm like, what does James Gunn have on these people?
Right?
What does James Gunn have on Disney that they rehired him?
And the fact that he was promoting his Marvel movie while being the head of DC, the co-head of DC, and that didn't raise any flags. It wasn't an issue for anyone other than like yours truly. Like, you're the co-head of DC. You should be promoting the movies that your studio is coming out, not talking multiple times daily about the competitor.
Well, I can give like another reference, the old Greek Trojan horse.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I feel about it. Like, Marvel sent James Gunn over to DC to be the Trojan horse.
I think so.
I mean, it's the only thing that makes sense, because he's truly, he's promoting Marvel while he's the head of DC. That makes no sense. You'd think,
that's a
hey, listen,
I'm
the that's completely ridiculous. I mean, it's like, wow, it just adds another layer of incompetence and stupidity to the head of Warner Brothers as a company. It just makes no sense. Bad Dad's Thought says, remember when people rallied behind Gunny Poo to finish his Guardians of the Galaxy story, yet he can't give the same courtesy to Snyder. Yeah, you would have thought that's the other thing. And I remember, Sil and Mikey talking a lot about this. That was another thing where it was like, if anybody should understand how it is to get your creative outlet taken away from you,
Mhm.
over something, and James Gunn should have had a little bit of empathy there and realized, oh, okay. So in part, I could kind of understand that, with Snyder, because he wanted to do his own thing. But what about his buddy David Ayer? David Ayer was his biggest cheerleader. David Ayer was online constantly, singing his praises, giving him pep talks, pushing him, in a positive direction, basically empowering him during certain points in time. And I'll never understand that. And so if he can backstab David Ayer, when David Ayer was one of his biggest supporters, even when his version of the Suicide Squad came out, he's telling people, no, give James Gunn his chance and his casting crew their chance to shine and let their movie come out. Don't worry about the Ayer cut. Yeah.
Sorry, reading Ray's comment. It's insane. I don't understand why David Ayer would back him so strongly. I mean, it's his choice, and respect to him for that. But if I put the amount of work into these characters like David Ayer did for his Suicide Squad, and for it already once to have been messed with by the studios, and then see what someone else did with my characters, what Gunn did with my characters, no. I would have been like leading the campaign to put that guy out high and dry. I'm a little petty though.
Yeah, but see, it would have made sense just on that, for that regard. I mean, David Ayer should have had a professional grudge at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Because what James Gunn did was not professional at all. Nothing about what James Gunn has been doing is professional or honorable. So for me, that's always been a big thing, because that's the one thing about Zack Snyder. As much as they like to roll his name in the mud and blame him for everything and attack him and make up false stuff. Anybody who's ever had a chance to work with Zack Snyder never has anything but good things to say about him. He's always getting praised from cast and crew to other creatives, fans alike. I mean, heck, even James Gunn, as petty and as mean as he is, has nothing bad to say about Zack Snyder. He can't say anything bad about Zack, and even no matter what. He can talk about us all he likes and say how wacky we are for our ideas, and for and Sky and Leon for the hashtags, and he can call me stupid and all this other stuff. But the thing is, he's never going to say anything bad about Zack personally, because he knows Zack is a good guy.
I love that you touched on that. He called it, him going after Sky and Leon and the hashtag. Yeah, he called the hashtags wacky.
Yeah.
Sir, wacky is your brand.
Yeah. Yeah. And in fact, Mads, that's the thing. He should have been supporting the sell hashtag because if it's wacky, it fits right underneath his umbrella of content. Because the majority of his content is wacky. There's no other. That's like, wacky is like the kindest thing you could say about James Gunn content. I mean, it's ridiculous. Look, we killed a bunch of innocent soldiers. Isn't that funny? Gunny Poo when he directed the Suicide Squad. Yeah. That's funny. Everything's funny. What's up, Igor? Good to see you in the chat, man. It's been a while, my friend. Yeah, nice to see Igor in there. I remember with Igor, everybody loves his long hair, his long, luxurious hair, Ayer's Suicide Squad was a success. Suicide Squad failed as an IP since Gunn took over. See how the game bombed as well. Oh my God, that video game. Oh wow. You talk about some nonsense. That video game. what's your feelings on the video game? Did you play it? Did you try it? Did you
I
ignore it?
have not played it. I don't think my computer would support it, to be honest. That I have gone in with, because I do Sundays. I've been doing Sundays for 4 years with Machni Draws. He has gone in on that game. Even if my computer supported it, though, I would not play it because of the how they whatever it is that they do to make the characters. It's got that real uncanny valley thing for me. I find how a lot of these games, like like the current Suicide Squad game, the Spider-Man one that's I think it's recently come out. A lot of them use that Mortal Kombat as well, which that one hurts. That's a favorite game of mine.
Oh my, I
They
love
they all go
that
for
game.
this like hyper realistic, but it's almost like it's pushed it that little beyond. Like it's like they have too many teeth. It looks wrong, and they also take these stunningly gorgeous models that they use as the base for the characters, and they uglify them. And that's my own pet peeve when it comes to this stuff. They're actively reducing the femininity of a lot of these characters.
Thank
A
you.
lot of these gorgeous females. I've gone in on this so many times with Maki.
Yeah, thank you so much for bringing that part up. I mean, what they did to Melina was absolutely atrocious.
Melina,
They gave her all these extra teeth, and then like you said, they're trying to make it seem like it's almost a crime to be curvy.
yes.
I
And
I mean,
that's something I've been fighting against since high school.
I don't get it. I sit here and I look at the whole thing and I'd say to myself, why do you want to take away such a valuable asset to who these characters are, to who these women are? Why do you want to make them less than what they are? It kind of reminds me of an old short story. God, and I can't think of the name of it right now, but it's where society gets to a place where it wants everybody to be equal on all levels. And so everybody has to wear masks so that their faces are covered, and the masks all look the same. So this way, whether you're like, you look beautiful on the outside, your outside beauty doesn't offend the people that are not so beautiful on the outside. And there's things, and everybody has like chips in their head so that certain people are not smarter. Everybody is basically has the same IQ, and then everybody has like bricks and stuff attached to them so that they all walk the same, so that nobody walks faster or better or easier than anyone else. Society is completely equal. It's almost like it's just ridiculous. Like it takes away all the story. I think the movie's called Sam Bergeron or something, and it's based on a short story, and it you basically take the uniqueness and the authenticity away of what makes an individual special, and you take all that away, and in this way you make a society that's completely right down the middle, even for everyone. And I feel like that's where we're headed with the way that they're going with all this stuff with basically taking away the femininity of females, making all of the male characters less masculine, and totally just dumbing down society on every level with all this stupid stuff constantly being thrown at us to make everybody feel like, oh, no matter what, these people are not better than you. You're not better than these people. There's like nothing to strive for. Everything is just completely straight down the middle. I don't know. But it just bothers me, especially with that. It's not a crime to be curvy. It's not a crime to look. It's not a crime to look sexy. It's not a crime to look pretty. It's not a crime to be ugly. It's not a crime. It's however these characters are made, just like real people. It emulates real life. That's how it is. So I don't understand, the reasoning for it. It just bothers me so much. And one of the things I noticed about you on your channel, with all the great and beautiful artwork you do. You tend to draw some of the most beautiful, curviest, awesome looking, beautiful female characters I've ever seen. You will sit there and you will draw it out, and you will spend, you will devote time to it, and it will look great. And you're not censoring it. You're not trying to make the character look less appealing. You're trying to, accentuate those things as positives, like you should. And, I definitely appreciate that. So what got you started as an artist?
Actually, I went to an art high school.
Nice.
It was a sheer act of desperation, to be honest. My local high school was not going to be a safe place for me. So one of my teachers saw this picture that I was tracing of Marilyn Monroe that I was working on. And he suggested this high school for me. And we checked it out, and I was in love with the place to start with. I got myself in, and I learned to draw along the way, like actually draw. But in my whole thing when it comes to the curvy females, my love of it does come from stuff like the 90s X-Men and all of that, because I fell in love with Rogue when it came to that series.
I think we all did.
Well, she's such a fantastic character, such a badass. I love her, and Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman again. That whole femme fatale, that's right up my alley. But in high school,
I could see you having been a big Michelle Pfeiffer Catwoman fan for some reason. I think that's awesome too. Oh my God.
Yeah, both her and Julie Newmar, they are tied for my first place.
There you go.
When it comes to Catwoman.
Awesome.
But in high school, now when I say my high school had a comic book club, it's not that they were collecting comics, they were making them. And at one point I was dating one of the guys on the comic book club, and he did a picture on one of the covers of this cyborg female, and he designed it after me. Well, the principal saw this, and she went up in arms. Oh, you have to redraw that. No high schooler is shaped like this. I was shaped like that. And I that's really where my campaign against this whole, everything needs to be, women can't be curvy and all of that. That's really where my origin story of that came from. Like, even not that long ago, there was this big campaign against, I'm drawing a blank on her name, and it drives me crazy. There's this short blonde anime girl who's really stacked. Maki used to use her as a clip all the time when I was joking that I was a weapon of mass distraction. But right around that time when we started about 4 years ago, there was this big campaign against this character. Think, oh, she's not realistic. She can't be realistic. Teenagers aren't built like that. Again, I was very blessed as a teenager. And the fan response to that, you had women coming out from across the globe showing that they had this character's exact figure.
Yeah, I vaguely remember what you're talking about.
Drawing. That's what I was. That's what I was looking up. I was trying to look up the character, and I can't for the life of me.
So it's so unbelievable, the kinds of things that are being. I don't understand why you'd want to you'd want to take away all of these aspects. I mean, I guess because we're in a constant state of desexualization, at least in the United States, but I guess it's worldwide now. But I don't get, but see, as far as that goes, I don't really understand that though, because it's a part of who we are. It's part of our DNA. It's part of our genetic makeup. We were created for the purpose of procreation. That's what we're here for.
And that's been one of my arguments. I mean, because you see all these people getting upset about these attractive females, and it's used for this, for that. One, just as many females play female characters in video games as guys do.
Yep.
It's arguably, when it comes to general games, the more popular type character to play. And in both aspects, those who actually play the games, and I am going to say that, they want to see the attractive characters. This is what we are genetically hardwired to want.
Thank you, Mama Bear. Exactly. I've never, it's like, honestly, and there's nothing more satisfying than playing a video game with a very attractive lead female character. It's so much fun. I mean, and you get all the, like for me, I always like growing up, for me, it was like, you'd see Lara Croft and Tomb Raider, and you'd see her crawling around and doing her thing. But it wasn't that she was attractive where she eventually became a sex symbol, but she was also a badass character.
And it makes the game,
people forget about that.
More enjoyable.
Yeah, and people forget about these kinds of things. People feel like, with movies and stuff that come out now, they feel like, no, we have to make the female characters more masculine for some freaking reason, and it makes no sense to me, because you can go back since when movies first started. We had strong female characters that you did not have to turn into just basically male characters with slightly different body types. It just makes no sense.
No, a great example of that, because at the same time, you had a few years back 2 games that came out, and I think the one is Resident Evil. You had Abby from The Last of Us, and Lady Dimitrescu from, I think it was Resident Evil. Correct me if I'm wrong, if anyone in the chat who knows, who is this like 8-9 foot tall vampire mommy, and everyone was talking about her, down even to one of the floating jokes on Maki's channel of how he, and this is going to be shameless for this channel, how he gets me to encourage people to hit the like button is step on the like button, because everyone was running around saying they want to be stepped on by hot vampire mommy.
Well, actually, for those that like that hot vampire mommy, there's actually some parodies on the adult film side of the spectrum that fulfill those fantasies, if there's anybody interested. I'm just going to throw that out there because I think that's funny, that you brought that character up, because that's clearly meant to be an exaggeration. It's funny, but yeah.
And the reactions to both of them were polar opposite.
Yeah.
Because they really manified, I have no better term for it, Abby. Like, when they first showed me this character, I'm like, that's a guy.
Yeah,
that's a guy.
Yeah, stop doing that. That's not what we want. That's not what we want at all. And I get it. I understand that, we're living in a society now, and it's just so funny to say the words living in a society. But we have these people that are just like, where everybody wants to be whatever they want to be. And that's completely fine. You can be what you want to be. You can do what you want to do. That's fine. But don't marginalize marginalize anybody else to do it. You don't have to take the femininity away from the women to give empowerment to other people, or to give, or to make I mean, I don't get how that helps. I don't get how that actually helps women at all.
It doesn't.
I'll never understand that. There's certain groups out there that will tell you that no, it's helping women because it's showing women that they can do anything, equal or better than a man. They don't need a man. There's this and that and the other. And it's like, yeah, but you're not helping by taking the femininity away from the female. That's not balancing anything. That's just, to me, I feel like that's a disadvantage. That's putting you in that's boxing women in another negative category. You don't need to do that. You can still have strong female characters. They can be pretty. They can be, curvy. They can be whatever. You don't need to make them look more like men. I just don't understand.
No, but that's why I loved characters like Catwoman, like Rogue, all of that, is because they balanced that sexy and badass. But from somebody who has walked this, when I was in high school, I'm going to date myself here. When I was in high school, the whole thing that was considered sexy and chic, all of that, was that that heroin chic look. That really scrawny Kate Moss, great example right there. I had the fly girl figure though, so I spent the entire time in growing up hearing that anything over this size 0 was unattractive. And you still hear that stuff today. Oh, teenage girls don't have that figure. Some do.
Do.
When you push that narrative, that's telling those girls that there's something wrong with them. When there isn't. That's just how they were born. That's how they are. And it's just as beautiful, whether it is the one side or the other. But to push that narrative that you have to have this androgynous figure, people put themselves through serious harm to achieve this look that is being perpetuated as this is how you're supposed to look.
Yeah, it's unhealthy, and I guess you can almost take it as like a counter to the whole filtering of like pictures, like having unrealistic expectations of how you look or how somebody else looks, and basically putting on this lens of fakery. So now, because for every picture that somebody puts out, there's like 1,000,001 filters. They can make themselves look however they want, right?
Oh yeah.
And maybe that's the reason why they're manning all these female characters, is because they're trying to paint what they think is a realistic portrait of what women really look like. But it's wrong, and it's backfiring because that's not true. It's taking it away from the women that really do look like that. And you
they are
great
actively
examples.
they're
Yeah.
actively taking it beyond that.
Yeah.
Great example of that one is from the Spider-Man game, Mary Jane.
Okay.
The face actress they have for her is stunning. But they took this woman and they made her look older than me. Like, I know I don't look my age, but still, they made her look like well into her 40s, maybe 50s. They really demasculated, or masculinized this face of this stunningly gorgeous woman.
Yeah, that was so wrong and uncalled for. Why they're doing that? It just, wow. I'm
Yeah, there's games all across the board that do this. There was one with Mortal Kombat, and I'm drawing a blank on the character's name. This stunningly, this and the again the original actor, the face actress, the face model. She is one of the most gorgeous black women I've ever seen. But what they did to her character is downright criminal. Like Maki even was talking about it on
Are you
Twitter.
talking about Jax's daughter?
Yes,
I think it's Jax's daughter. Yeah, that you're talking about. I know exactly what you're
I
talking about.
love what they did
I
for
love that
details
character.
they put into, and the details they put into her outfit are stunning. But they did something massively wrong to the character's face. And and it's not anything against the face actress. She's stunning. She's gorgeous. But again, they did that realistic, pushing it towards masculine, putting in way too many teeth thing that every game is putting out nowadays, that comes out from the North America side. That's not coming out from Japan or wherever Stellar Blade and all of them came from.
Oh yeah, Stellar Blade. The fans won. The fans won with Stellar Blade. Now you're getting the curviness. You're getting the voluptuous and the
Stellar Blade has been listening to fans. Like, they recently put out a patch
yeah.
that gave you some more costumes, but also took off the censoring of some of the costumes that they had put on.
Yep. Yeah,
And
that's not working. People are tired of that. People are so sick and tired of that, ruining the vision of these creators by manonizing all of these women that shouldn't. That there's no need for it. Yeah, wow. I'm happy for those that fought and won with Stellar Blade.
Absolutely.
I'm really proud
I don't think
of them.
the fight's fully over, but
yeah,
you know,
but at least they're getting, at least it's uncensored now, and there's so many games and things that I appreciate it when they do that. Like here down at the in the chat, we've got Sin Havoc mentions Street Fighter and the Tekken video games as
he did put
good
in
examples.
Resident Evil was the one Vampire Mommy was from.
Yeah, Resident Evil was the vampire, but then you've got for Street Fighter, you've got, for example, I remember having a video game magazine where Chun-Li was on the cover.
Yep.
And her breasts took up the entire page front, the cover of the magazine. Like, you have her face over here, and then you've got these big massive, it was just but it wasn't an exaggeration. That was the style of how they drew the character for certain games. If you look at Street Fighter, Street Fighter Alpha, and some of the earlier games, that came after Street Fighter 2, they actually had, she did. And for example, Mai in the Fatal Fury and King of Fighters games too. She's another one who her character was known for having these big, jiggling breasts. That was her, almost like a character trait, but it was done tastefully. She was, very, very beautiful. And and there was all this controversy because in, the more recent games that they've put up, they've got her really, really covered up, and they, have stopped her breasts jiggling and things like that. And they've kind of made it so that, they're taking away a trait from the character that was so well known, and they're just trying to make it, trying to make it more male. I guess that's the motto now. More male. I don't know.
There's nothing wrong with jiggle physics. And if you look at these characters, as a female or wherever, and you're feeling attacked by it, honey, that's on you.
Yeah.
That does not mean the world needs to be, or these characters need to be changed for you. That's something you need to look in and ask yourself, why are you threatened by digital boobs?
Yeah, exactly. It says more about, the psychological makeup of a lot of people than it does about the digital pixel boobs or polygons or whatever. It doesn't really matter.
People losing their minds over characters that aren't real. like these characters don't actually exist, that these people are losing their mind over and getting outright nasty to people who actually say that they really enjoy them.
Yeah.
What does it matter if there may be a handful of that use it as material for private time? So what?
I look at that as, hey, what you do in the privacy of your own home is your own business.
Exactly.
Okay, I don't have to know about it. I'm not trying to know about it, and honestly, I don't care.
Like, so long as they're not like camming up on YouTube and doing it, I really
It doesn't matter to me. I don't care. Although I do want to talk about something that I do find a little bit controversial, and I want to know what you think of this,
of course.
from the perspective of a beautiful woman like yourself. There's a lot of women on YouTube that are, I've noticed there's a sizable growing amount, and I don't know how this came on my feed. This was by accident, I guess. I don't know. Maybe because I had a female friend over, and maybe this was something she was looking at. I don't know, but one day I went on my YouTube feed, and it came up where this woman is a young woman, probably in her early mid-20s. She's changing her trying on clothes. And the clothes that she's trying on are see-through clothes. Okay, and she's got, and she's voluptuous and pretty and all that, right? And so all the clothes are see-through. So she's trying the clothes on, and you can literally see everything. There's nothing left to the imagination. There's nothing covered up. There's nothing. And she's doing all of these things, and she's bending over, and she's like kind of doing like yoga poses and different things. And but there's a disclaimer at the beginning because, she's trying on clothes, but it could still be, inappropriate, but it's on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I noticed that and once I made the mistake of clicking on that, you know how the YouTube algorithm is.
Works, yeah.
It continues to pop up, and you continue to see more of that. And I just was amazed at all the videos that are out there of women doing this, and
so many.
You get and they get away with it. It doesn't violate YouTube's policies or anything, and I don't know how. If you're, I guess so. I guess that means I can, as a man, I could start trying on clothes on YouTube, and they could be see-through clothes, and where you could see everything, from the waist down. You could see everything with no. But because you're trying on clothes, I guess it's okay. And I just wanted to get your thoughts on that. I mean, where is that something that you would ever do, Mama Bear? Is that something that you would think you would find? I just don't know that it's necessarily. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with. The women, they all look beautiful and all that. But the point is that you could you see everything. There is no imagination.
I know what you're talking about. I've seen a number of them myself, and there's
Wow,
a few
okay.
that automatically come to mind when it comes to that. I can't say I've seen a lot of the curvy ones. Charles.
Yeah, I have.
Charles, you ain't right for that. But I know part of what they do about it, why they do it is because one, other females and stuff they want to, they do want to see how a lot of these clothes look, and sometimes, in the case of one who actually shares a first name with me, she puts on these wild outfits, and quite often a lot of them are see-through. And I get the fascination with it, because just putting these outfits together, that is a lot of the times is something that you would not ever want to wear as a normal person, or would even go out and get. But I do recognize that part of why they do that is also the same reason why I do play up the more smoky aspects of my voice, because that is leading into the sexualization, the sex sells. It's what it is.
I mean, I totally get all that, the idea of sex sells, but if you're gonna have that as the thing, okay, sex sells and you can do this, you can do that, then why the counter argument of making all the females more masculine when clearly that's not
but it's different industries.
okay.
The one is like the professional industry that's being run by whatever crazy ass movement that's doing it at this point,
Yeah.
listening to the wrong people. And the other one is a lot of the times independent creators, but you also have stuff like VTubers who pull out these characters that are quite often voluptuous, the opposite of exactly what we are fed is what we're supposed to be looking at when it comes to video games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm saying if we can look at that, you know, you could just go on YouTube and you could see all these beautiful women in their see-through outfits doing their yoga poses and stuff. You don't have to. So why bother to censor video game characters? I mean, it's like, who cares?
I know a channel where the girl turned around and said, if you get me up to X number of subscribers, I'm going to put on one of those, carnival outfits or a cheerleading costume. And it was purely egging on the male audience to do this.
How many subscribers would you need for that, Mads MamaBear?
Carnival would never happen. They don't make them in my cup size. Cheerleading I might entertain, but I'm still trying to get monetized at this point.
No Catwoman suit.
Honestly, Catwoman I probably would.
What about Rogue?
I love Rogue. I'd have to track down the right wig to do that because it's not right without the wig.
Yeah, you'd need the wig, but I think you could pull off Rogue.
Absolutely. There are a lot of there's a lot of like online characters that I would love to do. In fact, there's one I'm working on saving up for, and I'll send you the picture because I know I sent it to Maki. Just got to give me a moment.
Okay, thanks.
Black Cat's another one that I would love to do.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Let's see. X-Men 97 showrunner went full Snyder fan made and was tweeting out Man of Steel, his watch along, calling out Martin Scorsese. Yeah, Bo DeMeo has been really like vocal. He is definitely full Zack Snyder. This is the guy, a lot of people forget about him, but this is the guy that literally stood with Henry Cavill when Henry Cavill had issues with the writers and producers of the Witcher series on Netflix for deviating so far away from the canonical storyline and going off and doing their own thing and pushing their own agendas. He stood with Henry Cavill, and I'll never forget that. He'll always be goated in my mind because of the fact that he stood with Cavill. And then not to mention the fact that X-Men 97 is one of the greatest things you'll ever see in life as far as an animated series goes. It's so good. Oh my God. Did you love X-Men 97, MamaBear?
I love it. I was a fan of the show, the original show. So.
Oh yeah, how could you not be a fan of the original show? I mean, the original show is iconic in so many ways, and this just took. And we won't get into it because I don't want to get into any spoilers for people that still have not seen it. But if you haven't seen it, you need to see it because it is wonderful. It is pure bliss. It is orgasmic bliss for you if you are an X-Men fan. Yeah. If you are a fan of that original series, it doesn't disappoint. It like delivers on every level. Unbelievable. Okay, cool. You sent it to me on Twitter?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
There's again, Maki, my Sunday co-host, he plays a lot of video games, and over the past 4 years that I've been hanging out with him, he's always sending me these pictures of characters in the various games. I can't even remember which game this is at this point. But he's always sending me pictures of these characters in games, going, "It's you." I've got so many saved. But this was one that really jumped out to me for reasons that will become obvious. But largely because I just love the hoodie that goes with it.
Oh yeah, I could totally see that. Yeah, I could totally see you.
Mm.
That'd be good.
The
Now, the thing is, it has to be see-through, though. I mean,
see-through's
yeah,
never
I
gonna
mean,
happen.
it's gotta be see-through. Come on.
I have a 12-year-old. I'm trying to.
I'm just kidding. I could see it being. I could see you in that though. The blue like that would be really cool. And it totally makes sense.
I don't remember which game it is.
I don't know either, but it looks familiar.
No, I think the game is Nikkei. That's the one he's been playing a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh no, you could now with AI and everything, you could make yourself into an anime art doll, Mama Bear, and you could become like a little desktop waifu,
That's the funny thing. Like for weeks now, he's been talking about how I should become a VTuber myself, because I do have the voice for it.
You can make money. You can make money like that. Yeah, you definitely have the voice for it. I mean, your artwork is awesome, though. You should bring some of your characters to life. Like that, like make some of your characters into these AI, animation, like waifu kind of scenarios where you can.
I would need somebody that is more technically inclined than I am.
Yeah, I'm trying to learn everything I possibly can about this AI thing. It is so fascinating, but we won't get into a huge discussion about AI here because I do that on every show, and I promised some people that I wouldn't do that. I would keep doing that every week, but it's definitely fascinating to see that. And here we are now with all of these great examples that we just laid out of all these wonderful female characters and all these things. And, women empowerment is stronger, I think, than people believe. And that's the thing I've never understood, for people that go out and say, oh, well, there's never been a whole lot of strong female characters, that's why they're doing this. What do you mean? Do you not know history? I feel like people have gotten to the point where they don't want to have a history, Mama Bear. I feel like they just want to live today and forget that anything else happened, like the message of the Star Wars sequel trilogy, which is forget the past, bury it if you have to. And I feel like that's the motto of the modern 2024 that we're currently living. They don't remember, they have no recall, they don't remember Ripley from Aliens, they don't remember you go super far back. They don't give Princess Leia any credit. They don't give what's her name, my god, she's on the tip of my tongue. She was a spin-off of Conan. What was the name of that? She was
Red Sonja.
Yeah. They don't have any memory. They don't have any memory of any of these characters. That's just naming a few, right?
Yeah, Sarah Connor. There's another
Sarah
one.
Connor. They don't have any memories of any of that. They there's never been any strong female characters that had sexuality and were also.
Movie is full of them. Horror movies are full of them. In fact, I can't think of very many horror movie IPs where the hero, the protagonist, is a male, to be honest.
That's very true. I mean, one of my favorite horror franchises of all time, A Nightmare on Elm Street. Nancy Thompson. In the first, she was a teenager in the first film, and then spoilers, she comes back in Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3. And not only is she cool, sexy, and awesome, but she's a doctor, and she's like and she's just, I mean, all of these great characters. I mean, hell, even Jamie Lee Curtis in Halloween.
The original Scream Queen.
Yeah, and she had her, had her. She kept her femininity about her, right? She didn't become masculine until
Even Candyman, both
Halloween
versions.
Yeah,
Female.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, well, Candyman was male. I mean, and kudos to them picking Tony Todd and Yahya Abdul-Mateen for Candyman, but the protagonist was female in both cases.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And it was awesome. And you can't, I don't know. I look at it all as nonsense because I value history. I look at history. I'm a film fan. I love history. I go back and these older video games too. It's like you got to respect history. They just want to ignore history.
Yeah.
Which is why history is going to repeat itself with all these dumb decisions and dumb, ways of looking at things. I'm just blown away by it. I don't really know what to say. I look at it all and I just say to myself, this is where we've come. This is 2024. That empowerment should be at its peak right now. And the sexuality should be more prominent than ever before. Everything should just be.
Yeah, they're going wacky with the sexuality. Baldur's Gate. What they promoted was you can have sex with a bear. I'm not even kidding on this. I do want to pause for 1 second because I have. It's official as of this week. I am now on the panel with the Kingdom of Nerds on the Monday shows, and he did pop in. Hi, Brucey. Hi, Brucifer.
Well, hello, Kingdom of Nerds. Good to see you. Thank you for coming. I appreciate that. This is just a great discussion as it should be, as I expected it to be. Let's see. Hey, Curly Ray says Spider-Man 2 for PS5 is great. I don't have a PS5. I haven't played it.
Yeah.
Suicide Squad kills the Justice League. Live service. King Shark can't swim in the water. The story is terrible. And they ruined Kevin Conroy's Batman. Amen. I have to agree with everything you said. Only internet activists think making women attractive is demoralizing. Well, there's a lot of them, unfortunately. Oh, so fresh. There is a lot of them.
Yep.
We are just. Gal Gadot unfollowed Gunn too. She believed his false promises of keeping her for Wonder Woman 3. And there's another one right there. Gal Gadot. I mean, come on, my God. Zack Snyder's Justice League had a bunch of strong, epic female characters in it.
I love like the Amazons, and not even just the Amazons, all of the females that you saw there. They were strong. They were what you really wanted to see in these movies.
And they oozed their sexuality as well. They were not running from it.
Yes.
They were not trying to make them masculine. They didn't have to be masculine to be badasses.
Yeah, I wanted to see that, and that's the stuff I want to see. I want to see that Michelle Pfeiffer, that Gal Gadot, that more of that kind of stuff where they are both, strong, sexy, but strong and sexy and beautiful and all of that, and less of Rogue from the Fox series. That one pains me because that's one of my favorite characters at the X-Men, and they turned my badass sexy tank into a screaming Mimi.
I will forever be a Rogue fan. I will be a Rogue fan until I die. I've got a Rogue bust coming pretty soon that I'm going to put on my shelf that has everything intact, if you know what I mean.
Good.
and I'm excited. I'm gonna have it right on my shelf, right in front, that I can look up at it every time I do a live stream. Oh, there's Rogue. Just I'm just so. I mean, and that's another thing that I applaud for that series, keeping Rogue intact. Oh my goodness. Yes, I stand for jiggle physics. Yes, 100%. 100%. I love all the old King of Fighters games to this day because the jiggle physics are not messed with.
No.
And it's very, boobs matter for sure. Yeah, see, everybody supports the jiggle, Mads MamaBear.
Absolutely. It's important.
Oh yeah, there's your joke, Charles. That's funny. Listen, I'll do that if Mads MamaBear does one of those see-through
never gonna happen.
See-through videos. I will do that. I have no problem with that. I am comfortable enough in my sexuality to do something like that. I don't care. I'll be like, okay, that's cool. That's fair.
That would require me showing more than, no.
Yeah, well,
no.
Nothing wrong with that. Well, I mean, if you're, you're at home with the kids, that there is something wrong with that. But we can just sort of Psylocke, Emma Frost, Jean Grey, Jubilee, Shadowcat, Mystique, Shadowcat. Yeah, definitely. Zod, we will continue the X-Men show soon. Oh yeah, definitely. X-Men 97 is awesome. Can't wait for season 2. I need to watch both series. Yeah. So we're not gonna spoil it, but suffice it to say, in my opinion, they're terrific. Okay,
absolutely.
So what did you think? Like overall with X-Men 97, did you love it?
They did it beautifully. I do wish there was a bit more Storm,
but
and definitely more Bishop. There's always
Storm had a great story though.
It's the original story in too.
And I love how they started her off with the 1980s X-Men hair.
No.
Wasn't that great? Like she had it was beautiful. It was beautiful.
I'm just gonna say, Disney, get yourself a big ass truck full of money and whatever Bodemeo is attracted to, roll it up to his house, give him what he wants.
Yeah, let Bodemeo have his OnlyFans page. Nobody cares. That's not what this is about.
Some would be very happy to watch it.
We just want more X-Men. That's all. We want it to be just as good.
Yeah, he gave the most positively talked about show that Disney has put out in ages.
Oh yeah. 100%.
Go give that man whatever he wants.
Disney's never gonna, and I've said this before too, that Disney, that's the best thing to ever come out on Disney Plus. Disney Plus has never made anything that good. That is the benchmark. That should be what they strive to be. You can do what you want to do. You can tell, but as long as you tell compelling stories and you keep the characters intact, people are going to follow, and they're going to want it, and they're going to want to see more of it, and they're going to support it. I think, I know DeMeo wrote season 2, and I think he wrote season 3 as well, but they said that they're going to keep his ideas going forward, even though they'll have a new showrunner. I hope they really mean that, because that's the problem. That's easy to say, but it could just as easily end up being a disaster if they mess it up.
Thankfully, season was already done. I am gonna just pause 1 second, because the other big show that comes out usually Tuesdays 10 p.m. Retro Nerd Girl popped in, and she's saying that she does have to she's popping through. But absolutely, if you guys do not watch her channel, you absolutely should go sub to her, because she is absolutely brilliant. And the Gargoyle stuff that we do it's been so fun to play. Sean, I will get to that thought.
Here's the thing. I actually had planned to make that its own topic, but since Retro Nerd Girl is here. I guess we can transition. We can kind of transition over to that now. Retro Nerd Girl says, "Hey, ZodWriter and Mama Bear, just stopping by to say hello and show my support. I have a recording to do, so I will have to be on the replay crew." That's perfectly fine, Retro. Thank you for the support. I definitely support you. Have always loved your channel, and I love what you and Mama Bear are doing with Gargoyles, because I like that show. I used to watch it myself when I was back a long time ago. You know,
Yeah, when it first
same
came out.
as Amy Jo Johnson. I used to watch it, and I liked it back then. I was a fan of it back then, and seeing the two of you discuss it in the way that you do, breaking it down and in depth, it's like the greatest thing of all time to sit down and watch, to just listen to you. I could listen to you and Retro Nerd Girl all night long. Like, you guys just
it's been so fun to record. That whole series was fantastic to record. Because
it hurt me a little bit that to realize that it wasn't live when I was watching it the other day. I was like, oh,
honestly,
wait a minute.
That's been a good thing. She has been fantastic with her editing skills on that.
Yeah, I was thrown a few times. I'm like, wait, it's not live. No, because you guys are in the chat. You guys are in the chat.
Yeah.
Conversing with everybody, and it's just kind of like, but it's so good. It's such a great watch, and you guys chose such a brilliant show to break down. You know, you were bringing up stuff that I hadn't thought about in decades.
But that's been the fun part about this. The whole idea behind that is because about like 6 months or so ago, she had this 90s cartoon series that she was, the iconic 90s cartoons. And somebody mentioned Gargoyles, and she's like, well, I never saw it. And I'm like, no, we have to watch this. And it was talking back and forth about it. But eventually, yes, because I was the one that watched it from word go. I saw the very first premiere where they put, I think it was the first 4 episodes. They're all under the same name. Made for TV movie.
Yeah.
So when we started this, I'm like, we have to watch these ones together. That's how it originally came out. That's how it's meant to be watched. And you'd think, watching that her and I have known each other for forever and grew up together. It's just how fantastic she is to play off of. And she has these great points. She went through watching this as someone who has never seen it before. And honestly, I hadn't watched it since it originally came out. So anytime you see me like looking up, pulling facts out of thin air, that's stuff I haven't seen since the 90s.
Oh, it's a beautiful thing. And you very much do play off of each other like you've known each other your whole lives. That is not an exaggeration. People in the chat, if you have not checked that out, the Gargoyles review show that Retro Nerd Girl and Mama Bear do, I highly recommend that you do. Go back and start, with the first show that they did, and just watch and just go straight through, because it is incredible. I was marathoning it one night, because there was one night that I just checked you guys out in the chat, and I thought you were live, but you weren't live, because the master editing skills that Retro Nerd Girl has.
She's fantastic.
But it's so good, and you guys just you could tell that you're both really enjoying talking about Gargoyles, but you're enjoying being around each other, which is just fantastic. And it's a beautiful thing to see, like that whole harmonic dynamic that the two of you have when it comes to that show. So for me personally, as a male, I'm enjoying every single moment of it. Okay. As a as a straight male, I'm enjoying every single moment of it. Okay,
Hey,
it's
not
wonderful.
mad at that.
It's Demona. Okay,
Love Demona.
Demona's awesome.
She's that one that you love to hate, and ultimately that's one of the characters I got frustrated with towards the end. Once we get into season 3, and I'm not going to do anything in the way of spoilers, because on the show, like on this series, like what just came out yesterday, they're still traveling around in Avalon.
Mm-hmm.
But Demona is one of those I really wish they had wrapped up, and I need to track down the comic books so I can get the answers for that. I'm hoping to get the answers that I need.
Well, maybe they'll do a revival for Gargoyles.
They're, and that's part of why we did this, is because there was talks of a live action Gargoyles. I don't know if it's a series or a movie. What happened to that? I have no clue. But if they do that, there's a lot of things that I would like to see. Like, I don't care who you do for if you do it like CGI or whatever. I don't care who you have for the body or facing around, but you need to keep Keith David as Goliath for the voice.
Awesome. Yeah, I it's funny because that's one of those projects I remember hearing rumblings about a possible Gargoyles movie a while ago too, and it's just one of those things that's kind of languished in development hell. But I mean, I wouldn't mind them doing like some sort of an animated revival, even. I mean,
Either.
picking up. I mean, because if X-Men '97 has taught us anything, it's that it's possible to not only be respectful to what came before, but continue it in a very realistic and organic way that makes sense.
And I'm not gonna lie, part of why I would love to see it is I would love for more merchandise and stuff to come out from that shoot. Even I've said this a few times on the show with her. I would love a Bronx plush. I want a big, squishy, I can curl up with it plush of the dog. I love the dog.
Make it animatronic so that it really,
I have two
really
options:
makes you
animatronic and one that's like Squishmallow. I want a Rocks.
I mean, that would be absolutely cool. I mean, wow. Yeah, I just, over the years, you've been someone who, like, you come out and you come into the chats or any streams that you're on, and I've said this to you before. You come out and you're very, very, anything that you say, it's always awesome, and you're always just uncensored. You just say it like it is, and that's how it should be. And you're very, and I love the way you always stick up for all of us. You always stick up for your friends. You're always like really awesome in the chats and stuff. And I keep thinking about this, and I've talked about this a few times on a bunch of on a couple of Q&As that I've done recently. But I go back to that. I go back to that stream that Sil had, where he basically, as platforming betas, as Leon, as not Leon, but Necron of the Cool Table had pointed out. And he had a guy on that was, we'll just say, from the South. We'll just say that. And he was very, very disrespectful, not only to everybody in the chat and all of the people that support Sil, but also very, very personal and negative towards you. And one of the things that stood out to me was the way that you were able to just hold it down and basically fight him rogue style in the chat. Like, it was just like a total, between you and Charles Austin in the chat. It was like the ultimate team up of like Bishop and Rogue just going ham on this like complete. I don't even know what to call him, but I wanted to kind of get your perspective on that, because I know he had this guy kind of has a history of
Yes.
going at people in Sill's chats and stuff. And there's a documented history of him going behind all our backs and saying all kinds of negative things and being very, very disrespectful. And, you know, I used to literally have screenshots of him going at us and saying things about us in other people's chats, the people that are not so kind to us, while also two-facedly coming into our chats and acting like he's cool with some people in our circle. So I kind of wanted to get your view on that.
I'm going to start off with hey Marcus. I'm going to start off with, if you cannot get the person who's supposedly your friend's name correctly when we've said it repeatedly, that's not how you say it. You're already on my radar. Okay. Guys like him, they irritate the heck out of me, but there's nothing they can ultimately say that will linger with me. Did I get called a guard dog in that case? It's not far off from accurate. It's still rude, though. I got known on Twitter, because I have gone after multiple trolls, and I don't care how big of a channel you are. If what you're doing is off the hook, I don't care. You get one of the original guys I connected with in California, 2nd Street Marvel. I pop into his. He still goes, "You went after Renfamous." Didn't matter. I don't know who Renfamous is. I didn't know there, and I still don't care. What she said about that particular person was out of line, and I've done it for everybody. I had known Josh like a week or two, because it was a week or two after a Full Circle that the Zack Street boy went after Josh, and he went after him hard, and it was uncalled for. I came in there, superhero landing, everything, full mama bear mode, because of all people to trash Josh. He is the kind of fan that every fandom needs. He's such a sweetheart, such a light, and it wasn't okay. And I meant, you can probably go back and still look it up. I meant every word of what I said about that, and I still do. Yeah, you even said yourself that I come in and I don't mince words. I don't see the point of it. I swear this is connected. Just follow my disjointed brain. I was raised watching Star Trek, and my mom showed me characters like Spock and Data, who were these very honest, very straightforward characters, and she's like, "This is the ideal," and it's really what I took to. I know there's always going to be the belief that there's more to it. With me, there's never is. I don't have the energy or the mental fortitude or whatever to do that go behind the scenes stuff. What you see is what you get. I hope that answered questions.
I was just mesmerized by how you were breaking all that down, and you had me at Star Trek, so I grew up. I've been a Star Trek fan my entire life, so I totally
I was raised Falcon.
Yeah, it totally resonated with me, everything you said. So but yeah, no, I don't quite understand that, and the whole thing with that guy in particular, because here he is being platformed by Sill. He's being platformed by Sill, of all people. Like, Sill could literally have any one of us on his platforms at any time, and we're all part of the same group. We all, he platforms this guy, and what does this guy do? He uses that opportunity as a way to attack members of
naming names. You and I have seen it multiple times over. Clout or whatever it is, that's a hell of a drug. We have seen these people who at one point would have gone to bat for both of us completely switch up and go completely off the deep end with these people who do nothing but create drama and toxicity because it's believed that this is good for your channel and this is going to help boost you and make you money and blah blah blah. I know I don't need to name names because I know there's a good couple that are running through your head right now. I can see it. That
yes, you can.
You and I have both streamed with.
Cool. I mean, you literally are. You can read my mind. That's awesome. It's a good quality that you have.
Thank you.
I appreciate that. There you go. Words to live by. Somehow, Mama Bear brought Star Trek into the equation. Shows me she's a Trekkie. One of my first comics alongside Superboy.
I grew up on it.
Yeah.
My mom and I would spend so many times. Like I grew up on reruns of the original series, and when the Next Generation came out, we would spend so much time afterwards talking about the individual episode and how that is based on like what culture it's based on and the inspiration behind it. Notably when Picard was captured by the Cardassians and tortured by them, that was very much inspired by the Russian the tortures that the Russians used to do on their prisoners of war way back when. But it was inspired by that.
Ah, yes, you're talking about the Four Lights episode.
Yes.
There are 4 lights. Yes. I know exactly, the Cardassian. I love that episode. Chain of Command. That was the episode where Edward Jellicoe took over as captain of the Enterprise. He was played by Ronnie Cox, who's Bogomil in the first 2 Beverly Hills Cop films. Mm-hmm. Which that's pretty cool considering there's another Beverly Hills Cop movie about to come out.
I'm actually kind of excited about that.
And I'm actually pretty excited too. I saw the trailer and I was giddy like a little kid. I remember as a young kid, I remember getting a copy of Beverly Hills Cop for my birthday, like the first film, and I remember being blown away because I had a sleepover with a bunch of my friends, and we were all hanging out up late watching Beverly Hills Cop. That was one of my earliest, one of my childhood memories, and I'm so excited to see that there's another movie coming out. Mm. Yeah. I'm really hyped too. I hope he's full Axel Foley in this movie. I hope it's not a watered down version of him. He is straight up that character in this movie.
That's the concern. I mean, how much, without having this taken wrong, and I know you guys are going to clip it anyway, how much of the full Eddie Murphy are we going to see?
Nothing wrong with it. That's a great question. I'm with you 100%.
Yeah.
Super Bro Corey says I watched all the Beverly Hills Cops this weekend. I actually think it would be great to do. And I'm gonna put you on the spot, Mads MamaBear. I'm thinking about doing the first 2 Beverly Hills Cop movies as watch parties on my channel.
That'd be fun.
Would you like to co-host with me on those 2 shows? Because I'd like to do that sometime before this new movie comes out. So it'll be fairly soon, like in the coming weeks, couple of weeks.
Sundays and Mondays, Tuesdays really. I generally like to be in the chat for retros, but other than the first half of the week, absolutely.
It'll be at the end of the week kind of thing. It'll be like I'm thinking it'll be like on a Friday night for that, and I'll reach out to you with the details.
Sure. See,
since
we could get Sky in on it, he might.
That might be that could be a fun thing. I'm like, I don't know. I'm just excited. I'm hyped up because there's a new one, and I actually think this is going to be good and could actually redeem the series after Beverly Hills Cop 3.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm hoping.
Let's see.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Bat Down on that one. Corey was saying we can agree. Christmas decorations. Christmas should be all year long. No,
Oh.
I'm sorry. My birthday is the deadline to have Christmas decorations out. I don't want to see them after that.
Okay. What's your birthday? The deadline. What's the deadline?
January 16th. I don't want to see. I don't want to see.
Wow, that long? January 16th?
I am one of those. I don't want to see Christmas decorations before Remembrance Day, which is November 11th, because that's to honor veterans and those who, you know, went through the various wars. Both my grandfathers were highly decorated. Or the one should have been decorated, but he was in the Dutch underground or the Dutch resistance. But I give that kind of leeway. So I don't want to see it. I don't want to hear it before November 11th. And by my birthday, I want that gone.
My mom is like the day after Christmas.
Oh yeah.
Like my dad has to take all that stuff down. Like that stuff cannot be there. My mom is like Bat Dad when it comes to the Christmas stuff. Immediately, it's got to be boxed up and put away. There's none of that.
Those are my maximums. I am not a Christmas person, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm really not either. I've kind of inherited it with my hole in the wall studio apartment that I live in. You know what's funny, Mads MamaBear? My parents, with my mom being the way she is about the whole Christmas thing, when they came over to my apartment, it was around the holidays a couple years back, and they're like, you don't have any Christmas decorations or anything. They gave me one of those, Charlie Brown Christmas trees, the one where the Christmas tree is kind of like curved over and there's one ornament on it. You know, the one from the Charlie Brown Christmas. And I put it and so I would put it on the table and I'd be like, okay, there it is. There's my Christmas decoration. I am not a Christmas person either. I can't, I don't get into it. Because usually by that time, there's a lot of other stuff going on that you're focusing on. And I feel like Christmas is just kind of like an unnecessary strain and distraction kind of a thing. And it just kind of pulls everything down and don't get me wrong. I do like, the whole family aspect of spending time with family and being around people like that. I like that part of it, but like, it's just the general atmosphere of it. For me, I tend to enjoy, New Year's Eve a little bit more, where you just kind of sit up and watch movies and chill and then go to sleep. Sort of. But
for me, Christmas was always you either spend it with one parent or the other, because my parents got divorced when I was
your
very
parents
young.
got divorced. Okay.
I was 6 when they got divorced, so it was to say it was about family. We never really felt that accurate. It was always a command performance, and just I didn't even have any Christmas decorations until I actually had a kid. Like I didn't have like my actual like Christmas tree in my apartment until about we did have one when she was 1 that first year, because his family was all about Christmas. But like for myself, I have one, but it's like a small white Christmas tree. I cover it with like pastel, and I think last year we started adding in like Mario characters onto it. I don't take it seriously.
Yeah.
Because it's never been a big thing for me.
Okay. Well, and Super Bro Corey, I don't hate Christmas. I just think it's over. I just think it's overhyped.
It is. Generally, the only place you can really find Christmas spirit is in the liquor store.
100%. I have to agree with you. Oh my God, it's great.
I've worked
Go in-
retail at Christmas.
You go into the liquor store. You go into the liquor store around Christmas, and it's amazing how
It's the only Christmas spirit you see.
everybody's happy there. Yeah.
My sister was like,
and it's genuine too. It's genuine.
What she would always do is during, like, back when they had those reward cards where you buy so many coffees, you get one free, and you can fill up a whole cart of it. She would save up her cards, like a handful of cards throughout the entire year, and go into this one coffee shop that she was friends with, or new people on the staff, would hand in like about 4 cards worth of this. So each one would have 4 free coffees, and say, I want these to be used up on however many people come in for coffee. And she'd sit in the corner and watch as these people come in during the Christmas season, all grumbly, because anyone who's gone shopping in December knows what it's like. And how they just go from grumbly to just lightened up because somebody bought their coffee for them. Just something as simple as that was so beautiful, so genuine. I've done it myself. But generally, no. I
there you go. You've literally captured the spirit of Christmas in what you just said. So there you go.
I'm taking you for
yeah, no. You know, it was amazing because I was at my parents' house last Christmas, and the most fun I had, we hung out and watched Die Hard, which is a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
So, pay forward Christmas.
It's little things like that make a huge difference to people. And you'd never think something as simple as that could change somebody's day around, but it does.
Oh yeah. It really makes a difference. You know, it's the little things.
It's always the little things.
Yeah.
It's whether it's good or bad, it's always the little things that make the difference.
Yeah, exactly. And I've come to, catch the wisdom in my old age that the idea is that it's not about things or acquiring stuff and all that. It's about the experiences you have. Experiences are what's the most important thing. So when you have those experiences with people that are important to you, people in your family, friends in your life, it's those experiences that matter more than anything in this life that we're living. And that's what I've come to see as the most important aspect of life, these experiences.
I actually have an actual question in the chat.
Hey, Mama Bear, what's your favorite anime?
I do actually have on my channel where I did get into some. This is actually through a friend at the time, but I got into Attack on Titan. But there will always be that soft spot for me for Sailor Moon, and to hear that they actually are bringing that back out, I'm so excited.
Sailor Moon, huh?
Sailor Moon.
My favorite anime of all time is Fist of the North Star.
Respect.
But I know I'm up on Sailor Moon. I know Sailor Moon. Okay, I was Sailor Moon, and what I loved was another cartoon that used to be on in the 80s was Gem and the Holograms.
Yes.
I was a big fan of Gem and the Holograms, and I'm not ashamed to admit that. I love those characters.
The fact that they never came out with an album of the Gem songs was criminal.
It was.
They really should.
And when I interviewed Samantha Newark, who played the voice of Gem when I used to do my show on the radio, she still to this day sounds exactly like Gem. Exactly like Jerrica Benton. I cannot believe it. I was just like, I was so starstruck. You know, she sounds exactly the same. after all these years, after all this time. Her
Oh my
voice
God.
has not changed. If they were to ever do some kind of revival to that, which I know they did as comic books,
Mhm.
but the comic books were less than, well, I'll just say less than,
That's sad.
but because they
And we won't
didn't
talk
really.
about the movie.
Oh,
Never happened.
oh my
Never
God.
happened.
I want to. I saw that steaming pile of crap in the theaters because
I
I had
did see it.
interviewed Samantha before that movie came out,
Oh,
hype that movie up because I was so excited. And
was too.
she broke my heart because she said the words, "I have a cameo in that movie."
No.
And it broke my heart to hear her say that because I was all excited like a little kid. I'm thinking, oh my God, she's going to play Synergy. She's going to be the computer. She's going to
That
do
would
the
have made
whole
sense.
showtime. She's going to be Synergy, right? I was like,
Mhm.
oh my God. And I was all like jumping up and down, and my co-host thought I was crazy. And I'm like, you don't understand. I'm like, you're going to be Synergy, right? And I'm like, and I'm like trying to will it out of her to tell me what she's playing. She's like, I can't tell you who I'm playing. But she didn't sound, she was happy and enthusiastic, but not that happy and enthusiastic. And then the day came when I saw the movie, and I was just in tatters. I was like, this is terrible, because the character that she played in the movie
Mhm.
was a hairdresser.
Oh my God.
I couldn't believe it. I'm like, you have the original voice of Jem here, okay, and you're using her as a hairdresser for the film,
Yeah,
and you didn't. And
that's
on
when you
top of
need
that,
the clip of
you didn't
emotional
even.
damage.
And on top of that, you didn't even have the Misfits till the very, very end, and
Exactly. How do you do a Gem and the Holograms movie without the
without the
Misfits?
Misfits. How do you do that? How does that make sense? Make it make
Also, they had
sense.
Jet in that Misfit collection, and no, Jet shouldn't be with that at that point.
I wanted it to be deep. I wanted it to have the stingers.
Yeah.
I wanted it to have everybody in there. I wanted to see Limp Lizards. I wanted to see all these people from the show. I was like, because in my mind, you could make this movie, and you could make it as like a period piece in the 1980s,
Mhm.
and you could have everything that's in the cartoon. You could add the whole thing, all the songs. And I mean, okay, because yeah, I forget Britta Phillips is the woman that does the singing voice of
Mhm.
Jem. You have Samantha Newark, who's the voice of Jerica and Jem, and then the singing voice is Britta Phillips.
Yeah.
I had a chance to interview Britta Phillips too, but Britta was like moving or something. She lives in the UK, and she was moving or something, and she wasn't able to do it at the time. One of these days, I'd like to reach out to her again and get a chance to interview her. And then I also had a chance to interview Christy Marks, the writer of the show, and there were scheduling conflicts, so I wasn't able to get her either. But when I talked to Samantha, it was so much fun to kind of get that insight into the character of that she was playing, and to have her sound so much like Jem, right? It's just kind of like, as a fan, I couldn't have been more excited, and just talking to you about it now, knowing that you were a big fan, that kind of gets me excited too, because I'm like, I don't know a lot of contemporary Jem and the Holograms fans.
Oh man, pretty much any cartoon from the 80s right to today, I've probably seen it, especially if there's music involved.
But not
I
only that,
still
the
to this day,
music
I
is
will sing the
great.
songs.
The music is great in that show, though. That's the thing.
Exactly.
The songs it was made for, like, and like in like the MTV era. It was made
Mm,
in, like, I think it was like 85, 86, 87, 88. Like I think it went for what? 3 seasons? I want to say it went for
something like
3
that.
seasons. 3, maybe 4. I think it went for 3 seasons, and it was just, I mean, it was so well done, and it was some of the greatest little storylines and things that occurred in it. You know, it was all about music, and yeah, that movie did not. That movie
That
was,
movie did not have enough music in it.
and
Of
not
all
only,
movies that they could have made into a musical, they
oh my,
should have.
yeah, and they should have did like the music video aspect of it, the way they did, how they did it on the show, where they
Yeah.
made every song into a music video. That movie was nothing like the TV show. I think Jem in the movie was a YouTuber.
It was, yeah.
She's not a YouTuber. What are you
Was,
talking about?
and the fact it was, oh, let's just put on a wig. First of all, guilty on that aspect of putting on the pink wig.
And then they make
But-
Kesha. Then they make Kesha pizzazz at the end of the film. Kesha, is Kesha even doing anything now?
No, other than probably still working through legal battles, not a clue.
I mean, I was so, and they had to know they weren't going to get another movie. I mean, to not use the Misfits, it's like doing Batman without the Joker, doing Batman movies and never having the Joker appear in any of the movies.
So it's like, oh, we're going to give you Batman, but he's going to be in the Bahamas.
That's exactly what it was.
Nope.
Yeah, Bahamas. Yeah, that's what it was. And then they had Rio, who's the boyfriend of Jerica and Jem, but he doesn't know that she's, you know, the story of Rio's a tragic character because he doesn't know that Jem, he hasn't figured out that Jem and Jerica are the same person, which to me, I always had a problem with that, and I always wanted to ask Christy Marks about that, because I always wanted to know, well, wouldn't he know that he's kissing the same girl? Because I don't care if she's got different makeup and different hair, but he's going to know who he's kissing because he knows his girlfriend, right? Her lips don't change just because
how many people is he kissing that he can't tell the difference?
Right, that he can't tell, that he doesn't realize that he's kissing the same girl. How does he not know? And that always bothered me. It's like Superman, like the glasses with Clark Kent. Like nobody knows. Like he's got the look, and then the second he puts those glasses on, it's supposed to fool everybody. The
fact that one's always killed me too, and especially the fact that he works at a newspaper, you know, full of people who are supposed to observe for a living, and they can't see that this guy, who is the same height, same build, you know, if he pauses to clean his glasses, he's suddenly Superman.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's like, you know, God forbid he has to take those glasses off, and and you know, but my thing with, and it's like created this weird dynamic in that show where she's just like, she's keeping up this lie that she's a different person when her boyfriend was honest. So I could never understand why she just didn't open up to him. I can understand there being that drama existing for a while, for like a few episodes, but eventually you would want him to find out that she's one and the same, and you'd want him to know, because that's not fair. Like, she's playing all these games, and and you got this guy, and he's just like the kindest guy in the world. He would do anything for you. He's not an a-hole. He's always, he's very protective of both Jem and Jerica. In fact, he was protective of all of Jem and the hologram. So he was always reliable. Like he was he was like he was like the roadie, or like the road manager or something, when they would go on tours and stuff. And but in the movie version, they made him into this, like, he was just goofy in the movie. And then they had him singing in the movie. He never sang. Like, no. What are we doing? That's like a great example of how not to make a movie. I swear, one of these days when AI reaches that point, I am going to make that Gem of the Holograms movie, and it is going to be faithful to the cartoon. It is going to have all of the elements, and it's going to be updated for a modern audience, but it's going to be a period piece and take place in the 80s, just like the original show.
Yeah.
I don't know. They, so bastardizing properties is something that Hollywood does very, very well, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
Lois Lane figured out Clark Kent was the blur on the disgraced show known as Smallville. Yeah,
Disgraced.
well, yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I love the Batman versus Superman Jimmy Kimmel clip where they did like a parody, and Lex Luthor and Clark took his glasses off, and Lex Luthor looked up at him and said, "Oh yeah, oh my God, you're him. Okay,
Yeah.
go on, carry on with your life. There's no need for me to do anything. You're this godlike character, and you choose to live your life as a reporter, whatever." It's like how many people like the disguise. I don't think the disguise is necessarily supposed to be, taken that serious. I mean, it's just so that he can walk around in public without having to wear. He could change his clothes once in a while, I guess.
Yeah. It's part of the downfall to having a universe where very few people wear masks. You need to have these weird storylines these weird theories as to why no one recognizes him.
Oh, there's a blast from
Indeed.
the past. What's up, chat? ZodWriter was my joint. That was there's another one. ZodWriter.
Yeah.
He's a kitty.
Yeah, you're not really showing on camera. There you go.
There you go.
My new kitten, Isaac Turner.
My kitten is my kitty is animatronic. I'll show you after we get off the stream. I'll show you.
You know how that sounds, right?
I'm not bringing him on camera. I don't want to do that. I have an image to uphold.
Yeah.
Anyway, no. But yeah, they do that.
I'm listening. I just need to have a drink.
Hollywood just messes with everything.
Oh yeah.
I don't. In some comics, Clark Kent's glasses are hypnotic to fool people. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to go with that, because even then, I still got to call into question. It's a newspaper. These people should have caught on by now. See somebody day in, day out.
Like in the SnyderVerse, it's like I know for a fact Perry White knows that Clark Kent is Superman. Perry White is not an idiot. He totally knows. That's why he ribs Clark Kent as hard as he does in those movies. He's like, he's very harsh on Clark because he knows that Clark is Superman. It's what are you doing? Are you vaping or smoking?
Vaping.
Okay. I knew I was right. I knew it was.
I switched over beginning of the pandemic.
Is it a flavor?
Yeah, this one is it's vanilla. It's my standard flavor.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Yeah.
It's usually either vanilla or strawberry.
That's why Perry gave Lois a chopper, not for a story. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he knew. He knows. Perry's not an idiot. He's not a moron. My whole point is that, like, with Gem and the Holograms, if dude is kissing the girl all the time, he should know who she is. He shouldn't be. He should be able to see through the disguise just by the fact that even though she looks different, he should know. And
I mean, there's videos all over YouTube about people finding seeing if they can find their partner just by the touch of their hand, and 90% of the time, it's accurate.
Yeah, exactly. I just don't see how that can be a thing. Like you got to know if you don't know what your girlfriend's lips taste like. I have to question, you know, your
Again, how many people are you
your
kissing that you
mental
can't identify
capacity.
your
Yeah, are you?
girlfriend's?
Yeah, it's
Hashtag
very
Rio's a hoe.
it's very it's very it's very distinctive. Hashtag Rio is a hoe. Yes,
Yes.
I'm gonna go with that hashtag because
I'm also going with Triton as a hoe too, because I don't care. Like from the live action movie, I don't care if they say that they all have the same mother. I'm calling shenanigans on that one. There's no way that they all have the same mother. When you've got one that's paler than me and beyond, and you got the full spectrum. No, Triton's a hoe.
well, there you go. Makes perfect sense. Makes
Mhm.
perfect sense. I'm sorry. It looks like I killed the show because I was talking about Gem and the holograms. Nobody
Sorry.
wants to talk about that. But listen, I have Mama Bear on the show, and Mama Bear is a fan of it too. She liked it too, and
Clearly.
I felt the connection, so we had to talk about it. Netflix can afford. Hopefully, Netflix can afford Lawrence Fishburne. Yeah, I hope so.
Yes,
I
hoping.
don't see why not. Could could you buy an upside down kiss fooling
It
people in
didn't.
Spider-Man? No, it didn't fool me. That doesn't fool me.
No.
People that buy in that have never been in a relationship before and have never kissed anybody.
But that's the thing. Even in that movie, it didn't fool.
No.
At the end of the movie, he kisses her. Or yeah, towards the end of the movie, he kisses her, and you see it dawn on her who that who Peter really is, because she kissed him in the Spider-Man thing. You
Yeah,
can see
well,
that.
yeah, well, you would know, right? You would know who you were kissing, Mama Bear. You would know the difference between guy A, B, C, D, or girl A,
Yeah,
B, C, or D. You would know the difference, right?
she and she did in that movie. That was how she figured it out.
Yeah, so I that's why I don't buy like that. That is the fatal flaw of Gem and the holograms for me. The fact that he doesn't realize that he's kissing the same girl.
I'm sticking with my narrative.
Yeah.
He's a hoe.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's be fair. He was, good looking dude with the
Mhm.
purple hair, and he had all the,
Looking dude in the music
in
industry.
the music industry. He was kissing too many girls.
Probably had more people. Probably had more thrown at him than Michael Jordan did back in his heyday. And he's running around saying that he's fairly certain he's got a son currently in the NBA. So
Penelope didn't know Odysseus through his disguise when he returned to Ithaca. Yeah.
disguise is one thing. I correct me if I'm wrong. I don't believe like he kissed her or anything like that. Did he? It's been a while since I've read.
I
I
mean,
should read that.
maybe he didn't recognize, but yeah, well, like I could see him not, I could see Rio not understanding the disguise,
Yes.
like not recognizing her because she does look different from Jerica. Like totally. That's one thing that they definitely did right. Jerica is very, very plain and uninspiring as far as how they dress her. They do that on purpose where they downplay her so that when she is Gem from Gem and the Holograms, it's like a complete transformation. It's like on Sailor Moon when they do their little spin and they change their clothes and it's yeah, or Wilt Chamberlain. The glasses did work for Henry Cavill in real life.
They
Yeah.
did actually.
Yeah.
Glasses, baseball cap. Yeah, they really did test that out, and I thought that was entertaining. Mind you, they also tested that out it was a bit major city like New York or something like that. And
Where
not to go
nobody
back to the
cares.
whole Gargoyles thing, because I've said it a few times already on the show, and I've said it more than what you guys will see coming up. Something like that can only really work in New York, because, or a big city like that, because it would work just as well here in Toronto. Because when you get into that big urban area, the weirder the thing, the more it's just ignored.
Right, people, and plus you're in a big city where people are only concerned with what they have to do. They're not paying attention. They could care less. You could literally be anybody walking down the street. It doesn't matter.
It's like when the guy from Avalon shows up. He's in the full night gear, and I'm like, that's literally only works in a big city. Like, shoot, here if you saw that in Toronto, we'd just think, one of the guys from Medieval Times is, gone for a lunch break or something. Like, okay, guy in a full night gear. Okay, sure.
One more point about Gem and the Holograms that I think backs up your theory that Rio is a hoe.
He's a hoe.
She did a song. Gem actually has a song called "Who Is He Kissing," where she reflects on that concept of how does he not know that who he's kissing?
He should recognize that he should know this. And I know the theory behind the song was, is he in his head kissing Gem or is he kissing Jerica? But still,
it backs up your theory that he's a hoe because he kisses so many women that he can't discern the difference between the two. And so then that would mean all of his niceness and kindness is he's just a ladies' man, and it's all just a cover up. He's not really. I don't. But they built him up so faithfully, like he's so faithful and so like a.
Yeah, it's not even accurate. But the fact that she's not even calling into question the fact that he's kissing her, not knowing these two versions of her are the same person.
Yeah,
that should be called into question.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I call it into question too. I gotta get Christy Marks finally to be like, yes. Christy, can you explain this to me? Like, can you really? Because I think she addresses this a little bit on one of the commentaries for the episodes on the DVD set, where she says something along the lines where if she were to write like a follow-up to Gem and the Holograms today, she would totally play with that bizarre dynamic of Rio having two girlfriends and not really being able to realize that they're the same person, and that it's
but we saw something you should know. That trope so many times in the 80s and the 90s.
Yeah.
And no one ever questioned that. This person is in a relationship with two versions of themselves, but they're being played up as somebody faithful. Well, if they don't know it's the same person, I'm sorry, they're not being faithful.
Yeah, Plato, you're right. I'm gonna after this conversation tonight with Mama Bear, I'm gonna reach out to Christy Marks tomorrow. I'm gonna try to get her on Q&A as soon as possible because that needs to be addressed. It's gonna bother me now because after the show I'm gonna go and I'm actually gonna watch some episodes. Mama Bear, we should do that series. We should do watch parties for that show. We should do break down Gem and the Holograms the way
I'd be down for, like, I would definitely be down for that. Understand if it winds up being a watch along type thing, I would probably wind up singing along with it, and I don't know. You think you guys really want that?
I would. It doesn't.
Copyright,
I don't really care. I love that show so much. It would be so much fun to do. And the thing is, but I don't know how that would work. Would that be better? Like pre-recorded, like how you do it with with retro, or if we just did it live? I mean, does it really matter? I don't know.
We'd have to consider how many episodes there are and that kind of thing. Because retro and I would watch them in batches.
I think there's.
It would be
let me see.
Thank you, Darth Plato. Yes.
Let me see how many episodes there are. Because any chance to talk about Gem and the Holograms, I get excited. I'm a big fan, so I just have to I think it's let me see. I want to say there's 85 episodes. So I was right. There's 3 seasons and 65 episodes, not 85. So
okay.
Yeah. So 65 episodes. We could do that. How many episodes are there of Gargoyles?
There was 3 seasons. Unfortunately, I'm trying to think. The first one was like 13 episodes. The second one, I think, wound up being 52, and then another like 13 for the third one.
Yeah, okay. I don't know, but that would make the identity reveal really awkward. Yeah, like when he finally finds out that they're the same woman. I mean, Rio's gonna be mad.
Yeah.
Because he's got this whole thing. The character has this whole thing about how he hates liars, and he's very honest. But as Mads MamaBear says, he's also a hoe.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Don't give me that honest thing, because I'm just gonna go out there. If I'm seeing somebody that's dumb enough to not be able to tell the difference between Mads and MamaBear, for starters, and you're trying to have a relationship with both, hi Michael. One, you would be gone fast if you think you're dating both versions and not realizing it's the same person.
I mean that'd be kind of exciting. I think that would be kind of cool though for Rio. I think Rio kind of thinks that, at that point Rio just kind of thinks he's the shit because he's like I kind of got it going on with both of them.
But if he's all about this honest factor,
yeah, that's his whole thing,
He's not being honest if he's dating two girls.
But is he really dating both of them?
Because he's kissed both of them. It's good enough.
Well, he's kissed both of them for sure. But the thing is, who's more? And this is another question. Okay, as a fan of the show, okay, and I'm just like geeking out right now that you're on my level with this. Who do you think is more at fault for this? Is it her or is it him? Because she's not being honest about who she is anyway. But at the same time, he should know because he's kissing on both of them. And she's aware of the fact that he's kissing on both of them because she's a willing participant in both situations. Because she is that person. It's all the same person. That's why she's not. And there's even a couple episodes where she's like gets jealous of herself. I think it was Who Is He Kissing video where she's like the dynamic of that whole relationship.
I automatically think she's more at fault. I am not giving him a pass in any way, but if it was like one of my friends, I would be a little more towards him, because I would hope one of my friends would, if my guy went at one of my friends that, I would hope she would go, no. And I know my best friend has.
Yeah.
But if your man is moving in on you, not realizing it's you, it's up to you to go, no. And she didn't.
And she should know at that point that if she loves him like that and she knows he loves her, she should be able to trust him enough at that point to say, hey, look, Rio, wake up, blockhead. I'm the same person. Okay. Yeah. I'm Jem and Jerica. So you don't have to feel guilty when we have those little moments. Because that's the other thing I notice about him. Mm-hmm. You ever notice how he always has this guilt thing, this guilt factor where like he's struggling with it too? Like, oh, is it Jem or Jerica? I got to be careful how I act around her because so he's struggling with it too. And then when she does the hologram thing where she has Jerica off in a corner somewhere, being like, hey, I got to go take care of this, and how she kind of runs off screen, and then he's there with Jem, and he has this moment with Jem. I go back and forth on who he's more into. Like, I think he's like starstruck by Jem, but he loves Jerica. So it's kind of so it's that dynamic, but it doesn't excuse the fact that he doesn't know when he's kissing either one of them that he's kissing the same girl.
And I got to call his intelligence into that one.
Intelligence, and so he's either really, really dumb or he's just a hoe. One of the two. It's either
Go both. Why not?
Because he could just be that dumb where he doesn't have the ability to discern the difference. He could be. I mean, it's not.
I've known guys that fit into that category.
I mean, because he's a total sweetheart in the show. It's like in the show, you're just like, I found myself feeling so bad for him in the show. It's like I'm pulling for him that he'll figure it out. Like, come on, man, figure it out. So, but that's what I mean. There was a surprising amount of depth to that show for it being on like a romantic level, for it being the kind of show that it was, aimed at little girls. And I think the original, Samantha was telling me something about the original idea was that it was supposed to be something that little girls would love, but something that little boys could watch and get into too, because it was airing alongside all these other, cartoons that were primarily aimed at little boys. And so they wanted to have something in there that would appeal to little girls. And I ended up just loving the show too. So I don't know what that says about me, but I'm a big fan. The whole romance aspect of it, I always thought was great, because it brought it to a whole nother level. And like I said, it was surprisingly a lot of adult depth there, looking back at it now, saying, my God, it really makes you think, like, she the whole psychological, all the, the bizarre implications of their sex life would be crazy too. Like I don't know, like you'd have to wonder, but there were times when like the Misfits were always hitting
Everyone
on Rio
was
too.
hitting on Rio. Oh my God.
And it makes you wonder, how many times Rio, I would have just loved to have seen one episode of Gem and the Holograms called Unfaithful, where he sleeps with Pizzazz, and he's guilty about it the entire episode.
It would have been he kissed Pizzazz, because they never they
would have never gone into that on the show. Now, if they were to revive it and do it now, they could get into all that. They could really,
Oh yeah. If it went into like became a live action series, say like CW, yeah, they would go full 9 yards on that one. I did see a Gargoyles question that
a Gargoyles question. Let's see.
Yeah. Not that one. Going back up. Geek Defense Initiative. Isn't one of the cops in Gargoyles based on Fox Mulder? Yet that was her partner, Matt Bluestone.
I know Commander Riker, Jonathan Frakes, voiced a character in.
He voiced the character.
The main.
The main villain, David Xanatos. In fact, that entire series, that was one of the fun things about doing this with Retro, is I knew back in the 90s that there was a lot of Star Trek voices when it came to Gargoyles.
Oh yeah.
Going through this with Retro, we discovered so many. Like, I think just this past week there was LeVar Burton in one of them, and I didn't.
It was practically a Star Trek. It was practically a Star Trek cartoon, at least as far as Star Trek alumni goes.
They had everybody. They had Worf. They had Data. Sirtis, Jonathan Frakes, Janeway. So many.
Yeah,
and even Nichelle Nichols herself.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. You're right. Total thing. Good night, Bat Dan. I hope you have a great day tomorrow for your birthday. Guess we'll talk to you tomorrow. Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming. So happy early birthday, Bat Dan. I read Xanatos was the lowest ranking member of the Illuminati. Let that sink in for a moment. Yeah.
I think his ranking number changes throughout the entire series.
If they would have made a Gargoyles movie at that time, they could have literally used some of the next generation actors to play the live action iterations of these characters. Look like Riker. They could have the shaved, or even the full bearded. It wouldn't have mattered. You could have. Riker would have had to slim down though for that, for that
little
role.
bit.
but it could have been done. I don't see it as a problem. Right.
Night, Curly Ray.
All right. Good night, hey, Curly Ray.
I think our chat's falling asleep on us.
Yeah, I think our chat's falling asleep on us. Too much Gem and the Holograms talk. So I
I did not expect this to be a short episode anyway, because you and I go way back. So
oh yeah, we always have a lot of fun when we get a chance to talk. So what do you got coming up, Mads MamaBear?
For the rest of this week, I don't have much coming up. Sundays, you always find me with Machiny Draws. We're always hanging out, having fun.
Can you put your link to that in the chat so that people can go over there so they don't know?
I always put these things on my. I'd actually have to switch over because I don't have that.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind. I'll find it and I'll.
But I always link these things over in my community tab. Always pay attention to there. Mondays are on Kingdom of Nerds with Brucifer and his stellar cast or panel. And Tuesdays, of course, you got the Gargoyles with Retro Nerd Girl. The rest of my week is generally pretty quiet. If I pop on here and there, it's always fun. Okay, well, that's cool. Yeah, definitely. Always a pleasure checking out you and Retro Nerd Girl on the Gargoyles chat. And yeah, Sin Havoc says, remember, sell is the way. Definitely. It's the only way forward for us as a fandom anyway. It is that beacon of hope that we all need.
Yes, absolutely. So with that, this was a wonderful show. It was just so fun to have you. You and I are going to definitely have to collaborate on some more stuff. Yeah, this has been a great show. This has been a great episode. And the chat, as always, has been wonderful. So thank you. We're gonna go ahead and wrap this episode of Late Night Q&A up so that you guys can all go to bed since you guys are falling asleep anyway. And we'll see you next time. Good night, everybody.
Later.